An early AI adopter says, bring back the people. Google confirms Gemini AI's integration into the Chrome browser. Microsoft fixes the Linux boot problems on dual boot PCs, finally. Microsoft's recall feature raises privacy alarms after a real-world security test. Welcome to Hashtag Trending. I'm your host, Jim Love. Let's get into it. Klarna, the Swedish fintech company known for its buy now, pay later services, is reversing its aggressive push into AI-driven customer service. After replacing 700 human agents with AI tools developed in partnership with OpenAI, the company is now rehiring human staff to address quality concerns. In 2023, Klarna implemented AI to handle customer service and marketing tasks, aiming to reduce costs and increase efficiency. The company reported significant savings and improved response times. However, CEO Sebastian Siemiatowski acknowledged that the overemphasis on cost-cutting led to declines in service quality. He stated, "Cost, unfortunately, seems to have been a too predominant evaluation factor when organizing this. What you end up having is lower quality." To address these issues, Klarna is introducing a flexible workforce model, allowing remote gig workers to provide customer support. This approach aims to balance the efficiency of AI with the nuanced understanding that human agents can offer. Siemiatowski emphasized the importance of human interaction, saying, "From a brand perspective, a company perspective, I just think it's so critical that you are clear to your customer that there will always be a human if you want." Klarna's experience reflects a broader trend in the industry, where companies that were early adopters are reassessing the role of AI in customer service. While AI offers cost savings and efficiencies, it may not fully replace the value of human interaction in complex customer service scenarios. There are lessons to be learned from this story, but one of them is not, "I knew it all along" serves them right. If you got that, I don't think you've actually learned anything. But for those who want to take away something more useful, there's a framework developed by Gartner Inc., one of the largest IT strategic advisory firms. It's called the hype curve. It looks a little like a sine wave, one hill, a big valley, and a line moving up. You can Google it if you don't know it. But essentially, it says that for any new technology, there's an initial hype that raises expectations for that new technology to higher levels than it can support in its initial versions. That's why they also have something called the Valley of Despair, where those true believers who jumped in with both feet end up. But eventually, the line shifts upward again as more realistic expectations are set and the technology matures. So the lesson learned might be, don't jump in with both feet. Do something realistic and smaller in terms of projects where you can afford to fail and learn. That way, when the line is starting to point upwards again, when the tech is becoming mainstream and much more successful, you have the true lead on your competition without a history of a huge failure that damages business and careers. I don't know why we call them lessons learned if we don't actually learn them. If you've ever wondered why Google has not exploited its distribution via Gmail and Google Chrome to make its AI as ubiquitous as OpenAI's ChatGPT, you're not alone, and we might never get an answer. But we might eventually get some of that integration. If you were an individual Gmail user, you might now see AI tools appearing in your Gmail account. Commercial users have been able to get these for a fee in the corporate Gmail, but now they're being extended to all users. And to be honest, as someone who can be critical, for a free service, at least so far, I haven't tested it to death, but it's pretty sweet. Google is now officially announcing plans to integrate its Gemini AI assistant directly into the Chrome browser, which has something like a 66% share of the market. This integration, referred to as Gemini Live in Chrome, or GLIC, will introduce a new section to Chrome's settings. Users can activate Gemini via a toggle, which places a Gemini icon near the window controls. Clicking on this icon launches the assistant in a floating window, allowing users to interact with Gemini without leaving their current browsing session. Additionally, Gemini can be configured to appear in the system tray for quick access. Further details about the integration and its capabilities are expected to be unveiled at the upcoming Google I/O conference scheduled for May 20th and 21st. By embedding Gemini directly into Chrome, Google will make its AI tools available to everyone, including that group that has had to install Microsoft Edge just to play with AI in a browser. Microsoft has finally fixed a bug that stopped Linux from booting on PCs set to run both Windows and Linux. The problem has been around for over 9 months and affected systems using Secure Boot. The issue started in August of 2024 after a Windows update aimed at blocking a known UEFI bootloader vulnerability, CVE 2022-2601. Microsoft said it wouldn't affect dual boot setups, but many users found their Linux systems wouldn't start. Those affected saw a security policy violation error with no easy way to recover. A workaround was available, but the only real fix came with the May 2025 Patch Tuesday update. The bug hit users running Linux distributions like Ubuntu, Mint, and Zorin OS. Microsoft failed to properly detect these dual boot configurations, sparking frustration from the open source community. Users with a dual boot system should install the latest Windows updates to fix the problem, and then light a candle and pray that Microsoft will institute better cross-platform testing. Finally, it's starting to feel like the end of one of those cheesy horror movies where the hand reaches up from the grave because you can never really kill the monster. Recall, the controversial feature that remembers what you do on your computer, is coming back as part of the next Microsoft update, and users will be forced to decide whether to accept it or not. Recall is an AI-powered feature in Windows 11 designed to help users retrieve past activities. Recall captures screenshots of user activity every few seconds, creating a searchable timeline. Microsoft asserts that these snapshots are stored locally, encrypted, and accessible only through Windows Hello authentication. However, we might be forgiven for being a little skeptical after the Signal fiasco that we saw last month. For those of you who might not have caught the story, Signal is the encrypted messaging app that very senior people, the most senior people in the Department of Defense in the U.S. were using to share government classified information. But it turns out that an app that can encrypt stored information, and it can even encrypt it in transit, also has to unencrypt that data for it to be usable either from the app or another service. So anyone who can get access to the user's app or other apps that might be required to access that encrypted data can also decrypt it. As an example, in an article he published on LinkedIn, cybersecurity expert Kevin Beaumont demonstrated how easily Signal could be broken. In his experiment, Beaumont's non-technical partner accessed his data by guessing his PIN observed earlier during a transaction. Without any hacking tools, she navigated through his activity history, including private messages, within 5 minutes. This incident underscores concerns that Recall's security measures may not be sufficient to protect sensitive information from unauthorized access. So, that test may intensify the debates over Recall's privacy implications. Critics are going to argue that the feature's ability to store extensive user activity poses significant risks, especially if they can be accessed by malicious actors. While Microsoft emphasizes that Recall is optional and data remains on the device, experts like Beaumont suggest that current safeguards may not be adequate. It is possible to deactivate Recall after you install it, but make sure you're aware of how to do that if you have concerns but just want to try it out. And that's our show. Stay with us this weekend when we bring back the Project Synapse group for a discussion on how to explain AI to your friends who don't know anything about AI. I hope we'll have some fun and maybe clear up a few of the mysteries and myths about AI. And just a reminder, this is a long weekend, the May 24th weekend, or the 2-4 as we call it in Canada. So we won't have a show for you Monday, but we'll be back bright and early on Tuesday morning. I'm your host, Jim Love. Have a fantastic Friday and a marvelous 2-4.